Welcome to the Escape with Nick and Adam. My name is Nick.
And I'm Adam.
Welcome to another exciting show. We got some good stuff to talk about, some not so good stuff to talk about.
Do we?
Do we?
Do we?
Though?
I'm just gonna I'm not gonna exude a negative attitude on the show, or towards any topic on the show, or whatever. But I'm just gonna say, do we really have something good to talk about in the terms of this? What we expect from DC, and I know that's where we're going. Everything else is normal cachet. I'm just saying, I've got some feelings about this.
We're not even gonna talk about like the dumbest thing most of the YouTubers are talking about, and that's a Hogwarts video game. We're not gonna talk about that because it's not our thing. But
you know what though?
Huh.
The way this DC thing's going around, maybe a Hogwarts video game ought to be something I'd like to look at.
I was like, maybe we should get into it. I don't know, or maybe play Last of Us. I don't know. Maybe so I have some point of reference for.
I can't believe I told you the ending of that shit just because I thought you were talking about. I thought you were talking about Velma. He was like, "We didn't get past the." I'm like, "Well, wait, I didn't see it either." But
we didn't get past the credits. You're like, really?
I'm like, but people are really liking this thing, Nick. I mean, are you sure? Well, it was the cursing. I'm like, well, it's on HBO Max, and I'm like, okay, so do you care if I tell you what happens? No, I don't care.
Well, here's what, and not like,
Velma.
Yeah, and not like it was like, oh no, it's like all right, because most of the people who I watch on YouTube, all the YouTubers or whoever, they already played the game, so already said, hey, blah 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 blah. It's like, oh, all right, cool. All I know is that the first Last of Us is supposed to be excellent. Everybody hates the second one, so.
Sure.
So that's everybody's fear. It's like, hey, how are they going to get once they get to this point? What are they going to do? It's like, I don't know. I don't know what to care about.
Profit.
It's like entertain. I'm just sitting here like just entertain me. Like I don't care. But let's get to. It's kind of like Fallout, but it's really not, Adam. Just because I think as the average fan, and even we had Nate and Josh on last week, I'm going, what about this? What about that? It was like nothing resonated with them. And I think that was pretty much like the average fans. Like, it's like so meh, like don't even care. Part of that I think is, Marvel fatigue, but also it's just like, man, I was listening to Chris Gore, and Chris Gore's just like, why even make this announcement? It kind of looks sort of half-assed. Like you were kind of just, obviously talking on a green screen, and why not just wait till Comic-Con? Like, and I know why, because they said once James Gunn took over, like, oh, we'll have something at the beginning of the year. So they had to do something. And you and I brought it up every week. We're like, almost end of January, got to make something. So they kind of painted themselves in a corner, almost like a politician, where they had to do something, and they announced it, and everybody, they pointed. James Gunn, I really hope he learned from that lesson. Be like, hey, man, don't do that again. So,
well, it just, why did we have to announce? This. I thought it was a little too ambitious. I didn't think it was basic enough. At the same time, what are you gonna knock my socks off with? You know what I mean? That's where I stand with it. Now, I've started to think about. I had some other points I wanted to make, but I forgot about them. But this Batman movie that he's got coming, I would be very surprised. And this is the first time I've ever talked negative about an upcoming Batman project. I'm sure it will be tasteful as far as good is concerned. You're talking about James Gunn. He's not an idiot. He knows how to make a good movie. He knows how to make talent work.
Well, and a good comic book movie, because he's made a few at this point.
But I don't think this is going to be Joel Schumacher's Batman under any stretch of the but with a stretch of the imagination, I do say I think it'll be a lighter version of Batman.
Well, and I was listening to the Neurotic Nooner, afternoon or today or one of the shows, as on the show from as Heel versus Babyface. He made a point which I was thinking, but I hadn't said it, but he kind of articulated a little better. You know, look, man, every Batman fan wants to see the Bat family, but they kind of want to see the build up to it, or you want to see each Robin, it grow and the whole thing. You don't just want like, bleh, Nightwing, Tim Drake, Jason Todd, Damian, bleh. You want a little bit of a build up to actually see the progression and see everything. And I think which that's kind of was like, hey, cool, because I like Damian Wayne as a character, but it's still like you skipped over 3 or 4 other Robins here. So.
I don't think that they intend to show those other Robins. I think we might get Dick Grayson, and I think we might get a dead Jason Todd. I would theorize, because I don't think they're going to throw. Because
strictly speculating.
Here's the thing: you make a Batman, well, it's not Batman and Robin, but it's Brave and the Bold, and it's based off Grant Morrison's run, and Grant Morrison's run has a Red Hood in it. So you just pluck the Red Hood out. You can give yourself some Dick Grayson, and you talk about the Robin that died, and you don't do Tim Drake at all. At all.
I don't see. I think Batman fans would go irate over that. How you don't include one of the most fan favorited Robins.
If anybody could do it tastefully, I guess James Gunn could, because he can work with satire, but I don't think Hollywood possesses that I don't want to say gravitas, but that know-how to do that.
Yeah. See, you keep bringing up points that make me angry. I don't like it.
Well, I mean, the Avengers, lightning in a bottle, right? Lightning in a bottle.
Well, no, it's a lightning. Avengers isn't lightning in a bottle. It's well planned, well executed.
Right.
Plan that came to fruition.
That's true.
And I think part of the issue is everybody kind of expects that the DC to do that, and then you just kind of like pepper out, Superman, Batman. Everybody's like, and the rest of the Justice. No, we're not doing the rest. We're not doing a Justice League. Like what? Okay, what are we doing? Hey, I like Swamp Thing. Cool.
Oh,
but
I mean, I'm excited about that.
The Waller TV show, meh. Some of the Lanterns, it's, and one of the things they brought up earlier is like, hey, cool, you kind of said like the Lanterns as a true detective show, which is, hey, kind of neat, but it'd be also really good as a true detective show. Batman, like, hey,
kind of sitting on
why
that
not
one.
do the greatest detective in the true detective kind of style? It's like, oh, come on, guys. It's not. I'm not saying I could do it, but I was like, it's not that hard. It's really not.
I couldn't bring you the whole Bat family, but I could definitely bring you a Batman and Robin with Dick Grayson as Robin and Batman as Bruce Wayne, and I would do it through Alfred. He would be very critical in that. There's a comic book that I would totally steal from. It's Batman Year 3. What's going on, man? Who's saying hello there? Someone's saying hi. What's up, Danny? Thanks for watching, brother. But in I think it was Batman Year 3. It's Nightwing's story, and Nightwing reminisces to when he was a kid, and I think that Bruce Wayne goes back and does the same thing. And please, before I trail off on this, I got to make one more point. You might actually see some of this in Batman the Animated Series too, but there's a moment between Alfred and Batman, and Alfred's like, "What the hell are you doing?" You got to think about him now. Kind of, he's making the point of like your life. You're putting your life on the line when you got to take him, but now you're taking him out with you. That's just nuts. And he says, "Listen, Dick witnessed the same thing that I did, And he said, if I had someone like me when I was his age, maybe I wouldn't have turned out this way. He wasn't putting Alfred down. He was saying, I want to teach Dick how to channel this so that he can grow up to be better than me. And
Yeah,
that was the point of Batman
it,
and Robin from Bruce Wayne's perspective.
right. In a twisted way, he was trying to not make another Batman.
Exactly. And
In the weird twisted Batman way.
And then when we read that comic book, All Star Batman and Robin, you and I, that first, like, it gets horrible. He abuses Dick Grayson. That is hard to read. Yeah, that's hard to read. But it is pretty cool when Dick Grayson like stabs Green Lantern in the trach. It's crazy. But yeah, I think you could do that, and I want to see that or something. I think that would be great. It would be great to see them do that in Matt Reeves, I guess. Maybe that would be the only place you could get it from. But I gotta tell you, man, I want the original Batman. And this is just what which is just what Adam wants. I want the original Batman and Robin. I don't want Batman and Damian Wayne.
I think it's too soon. I think that's like movie 3 territory to bring in Damian Wayne, to bring in such a modern character. Where I I don't know what the split is on Damian Wayne, because I know like there was a lot of we don't like him. I know like you're not the biggest fan of Damian Wayne.
I
in
like him.
general.
I like him. That's not true. That's not true. I do like him.
It's just you just don't like the premise of Damian. You don't, because we were just talking a few minutes ago. You don't like your superheroes having kids.
But Batman has always been.
I'm okay with.
Batman's always been the one that's the exception because of Robin.
Well, and also, he's human. So.
And he's human, and it's a different kind of situation too. He's a single parent, right? The only other person in the room is Alfred, right. So it's a different dichotomy. But there's just something to be. You're bringing in a whole can of worms. There's no introduction to the League of Shadows. Again, how many? I don't want to see Martha and Thomas Wayne, or Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne, get shot in every iteration. But not everybody understands or has gotten an iteration of the League of Shadows that has a Lazarus pit. You know what I mean? And to get that, Ra's al Ghul kidnaps Robin, Dick Grayson. But it was really just a ploy. He faked kidnapping Dick Grayson, and he faked kidnapping Talia. The truth was, Talia was never in any danger. They just took Dick Grayson, and they wanted Bruce to marry Talia. And later on, Talia does drug Batman, has sex with him, takes his seed that way, and she gets pregnant with Damian Wayne. That's how he's conceived. It's very unconsensual.
Right. But yeah, getting back to kind of the fallout. So overall, yeah, it's been a total gigantic meh, as far as fans. The only people who I think are kind of excited right now are actually 1, DC, 2, James Gunn, and 3, the speculators in comics. So pretty shortly after.
Okay, so let me ask your opinion. Yeah. Don't you think that's kind of a good place to be in if you're James Gunn?
Yes and no. It does one of two things. Hopefully, because as it just brought up here, so basically everything that they announced sold out. So, and this looks like it's a screenshot from Amazon's bestsellers. So you have Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, Batman by Grant Morrison sold out, and All Star Superman. So it's one of those things where yes and no, because it's like, hey, cool, DC is, it got attention, but it's always like, what attention did you get? Are you getting attention from people who are like already DC fans and didn't buy those books? Or is it people who are just strictly trying to strike while the iron's hot? They're going to send them off to CGC and they're going to, just try and make a quick buck. But also, that number one there, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, one of the things that I had to see was Tom King very excited that his book sold out, and everybody's like, "Yay, Tom King!" And I'm like,
Supergirl is one of my favorite characters, and I'm not reading that book just because he wrote it.
Yeah,
Isn't that terrible?
see, that's the problem with social media because remember back in the day, like you'd get Wizard and you get like little snippets of like Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane here and there, and you just hear them talking. Now you have a wide open portal into some creators, and you're like, I don't like it.
Well, well, you know what? I mean, there's that, but I was looking at it through the sphere of I read The Wedding, and I
Right.
didn't like it. It had some thrilling moments, but again, anticlimactic ending. And then we're back to the Riddler one bad day.
Oh,
Uh, I mean, forgiveness is you're the prisoner that forgiveness sets free, right? Well, this guy's staying fucking locked up because I can't forgive that book.
yeah.
I sent you a picture of my garbage with the original Killing Joke in it, with coffee grounds on top of it. It is now in a landfill somewhere. And I love that book. I love that book.
Said to me, I'm like, good morning. Like not even a hello. It's like this is where we're at.
I just,
Uh,
you know what? I kind of took the Joker's emergency exit there. Madness.
yeah.
I did. That was it. There's always madness, right? I crawled under the rock with all the other slime, as Batman would say, but unoriginal. Come on. Anyways, you just took away years of building a brilliant character like the Joker who, whether by intelligence, accident, destiny, happens to slip and fall one step ahead of Batman. I mean, that's just it.
Right.
You know, and especially when you told me the ending of that book. Now that's just unforgivable.
What just pisses everybody off.
That's unforgivable.
Yeah. So, and then the other, so it's a tweet from Bleeding Cool. Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch's Authority sells out thanks to James Gunn. So, another one of the ones that were announced. So, it's one guy says, I can't read this. I can't wait to read this. And last week, I'd never heard of it before. So, I think there's a lot of people who are kind of in that realm. It's like, never heard of it, but now I got to read it because. And that's how it was with kind of like.
Are they talking about the wait? Which one are they talking about here?
Authority.
Oh, the Authority. Okay, yeah.
Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch's Authority sells out. So, and that's kind of how I was with Gore the God Butcher. I'm like, gotta read it, and then I was like, then I saw the movie. I was like, what a hunk of shit. That was a disappointment because I went and saw the movie with like some normies, and they're like, "Oh, this is great," and I was like, "I hate everything. I disliked so much about that. Even the goats that I love annoyed me.
I do like Peter Safran's description though of those characters, and they were mentioning it on John Campia's show. Though he described it, excuse me, as there are a few good men. It's like a few good men. Right. If you were to picture Superman as Tom Cruise, not as like Tom Cruise playing him, but the character there,
right?
And the other guy's saying, "You want me on that wall." You know, you don't need to know. You don't need to know. All this kind of that kind of attitude back and forth.
Bravado, yeah.
I don't think that the Authority are going to be the good guys. I think they might be the scariest kind of bad guys.
I'd say, I'd say probably more like Watchmen type. We're like, oh, we're gonna fix the problem.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah, we're gonna fix it already.
It's like an Office Space. We just fixed the glitch.
Yeah. He tried that with Rorschach and he threw him down an elevator shaft.
Exactly. Like the problem might go away. You're not gonna like how we did it, but it went away.
Yeah.
So like I said, so a lot of and just all the YouTubers just such meh That's the fallout. So for the normies, it's meh. For the DC fans and for the people trying to make a quick buck, they're scrambling to try and get their hands on books. So
I do have a highlight you might like
yeah,
that I thought of. So Grant Morrison, like his Gotham City is not like eccentrically gothic. Okay, it's lit up, it's bright.
yeah,
It's a shithole to live in, like Gotham City would be, right?
right.
It's not where you want to go. It's where murderers, clowns, the whole 9 yards.
Like Chicago.
But it's it's brighter. I'm not saying like they're going to have neon lights in this movie or anything like that, but you could probably look forward to something a little more bright.
What's
Grant Morrison's a fun run, as far as I know.
I say, comparing it to like Matt Reeves, where Matt Reeves is kind of like that, but it seems almost like Detroit, where Detroit's kind of got the big city thing, but it's also like as a big city, it kind of feels very small. And I think that's
Right.
kind of how Matt Reeves felt. So comparing the two, just the most recent one,
Yeah.
um, kind of like that, but maybe a little bit brighter because obviously the Matt Reeves one is very bleak. Well, that whole movie's bleak in general. But
Yeah. And if they're going to kill Superman, then I'm not in.
no, well, that's like, stop killing the things that we like. Can we just get a couple nice things? Can we just get an actual Superman who's, you know, which, in all fairness, they did do the, truth, justice, and the American way. Didn't cut any of the shit like they've been trying to do the last couple of years. Where they're like, oh, truth, justice, and I forget, or for a
Yeah.
better tomorrow, or whatever they change it to. It's like, yeah, we can knock that off like anytime. So can we just get back to what Superman was supposed to be, a kid from Kansas? So
With a secret.
with
Somebody save me.
wow,
You know that song? Or no?
oh,
It's the theme song to Smallville.
oh,
Nick. That show was on for 10
terrible. I sucked. I was listening. And I've listened to more Michael Rosamond's podcasts than I've actually watched of Smallville because
Yeah, but
he had Shannon Elizabeth on.
I know I was gonna say Shannon Elizabeth's on this week. I can't wait to watch that or listen to that one this weekend because she's very active in animal
Yeah,
conservation and stuff.
yes,
Animal rights activist, I should say.
She's in Cape Town,
Yeah.
South Africa. Like, yeah, not doing the old what's her name, building a mystery with just doing commercials. She's straight up over in Africa, like saving rhinos and shit.
In the arms of
ASPCA commercials that everybody hates their lives after, and like everyone, like I think I want to know the percentage of people who, after see those commercials, go drive around a crappy neighborhood and look for like abandoned animals.
when they before those commercials, but they had other kinds when they were like, send these folks money. You look at these poor people, and they had Sam Kinison had a bit about it, and it isn't the punchline that I think now that is funny. It's the lead up. He's like, so the commercial comes on. The guy looks at you and goes, "You piece of you worthless. You're sitting there in your chair that you built from scratch. How dare you, you piece of filth." Send money to these guys. And then that's when he starts saying, don't send these guys any more money. Send them someone like me in luggage.
Yeah,
But
send them a U-Haul.
but that's how those commercials get you. They build you up with like you're in your nice warm home.
Yeah, you son of a bitch, you bastard. Well, that's most things nowadays. It's like, look at these people living not how you're living. Be like, I worked really hard. I worked a lot. I was like, this isn't free. I wasn't given this. I wasn't given this nerdy shit. I had to go buy it.
Yeah.
So, what else we got? So, I was listening to Critical Drinker. He's got a couple shows, but I think
Drinker or thinker?
The Critical Drinker. So,
Oh.
he's got his is it After Hours or which show where he's Open Bar, I think. But he had Robert Meyer Burnett on, and Robert Meyer Burnett did something I didn't think was possible to add him in 2023. He got me kind of excited about Picard season 3.
He's a smart guy, that Robert Meyer Burnett.
I think you know more about him than I do. What is I know he's like deeply involved in Star Trek, but not like production wise. He's more like on like
He
doing documentaries about it and stuff, right?
he is one of us,
Right.
living a big time, not big time, like he's a very humble guy, but he knows how the business. Just listening to him talk about his experience on like the John Campea show and all that stuff, and back when he would go on uh, Collider movie talk, um, you could just learn from him how things work just by him describing things. You know what I mean? And how the order of operations would go. Say on a set. Um, but yeah, he's just a wealth of knowledge, and he really loves sci-fi. He's one of the biggest Moon Knight fans on the planet. So he was very much. I think he was let down by the show Moon Knight too. Um,
As were most of us. I didn't even,
yeah.
I
Um,
didn't even
I,
know that much about Moon Knight.
I mean, he could talk to you about X-Men. He can talk to you about Star Trek. He can talk to you about Marvel beyond Marvel. You know, he knows his stuff. He's highly credible.
I know one of the big changes he uh, that he noted was who is writing this season. Let's see. So, was it Terry Gilliam?
I don't know.
Kiva Goldsman, or maybe Terry Metalis, because I know what he said that was one of the biggest changes from season 1 and 2. That he said he wasn't a huge fan of as far as Picard. Honestly, he said he hasn't been a big fan of most of the new Trek stuff since the J.J. Abrams Trek. I think he said he was pissed that he had to listen to J.J. Abrams go on all these press tours and say how he wasn't, a Star Trek fan. And he was more of a Star Wars guy. And it's like, yeah, not wrong.
Who
So
who is who's this? Robert Meyer Burnett said this.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's a funny thing. Like when J.J. Abrams was at his peak, I mean, he was on Star Wars, Star Trek. He had just come off, all these TV shows, Lost and the whole deal, and he was the hottest name. And just realized, what a freaking charlatan when it came down to it. And not to get into like the Star Wars stuff, but I remember I should it was such a red flag, and I'll never forget it when they started talking about, you know, Episode 7 of Star Wars, and they're like, so what is the it's not the Empire, but what's the replacement?
The First Order?
Yeah, the First Order. And I remember him going, they're like the Empire, except they're meaner and they're worse. And I'm like, and
they're worse.
And oh, it's just whatever the Empire was, they're bigger and badder. I'm like, all right, well, that's not impressive. I was hoping for a little more like, oh, here's we pulled from like Heir of the Empire and blah da da da. Should have freaking known, man. So, but yeah, but Robert Meyer Burnett, who has seen the entire season, and he says it's the closest to Star Trek's been in a long time. And I watched a trailer, Adam, and it really gives me very much Shatner and Nimoy vibes from just the interaction with Riker and Picard, and just in the turbo lift. I was like, that is how it's supposed to be. The old rodeo, buck
the
rider.
old crew.
Yeah, the just be like, oh, we're just gonna slip right back in. So we're older, but we can still, we can still hang a little bit. So it very much like I said, it very much reminds me of Shatner and Nimoy, and seeing those guys come onto the bridge a little bit. I know not a lot of people are the biggest fans of like Generation, but I love that seeing the
Well,
old.
that's a great movie. I love that movie.
I love it, but it's one of those. You know how, because that was one of the other things. Robert Meyer Burnett says, even all the new, the next generation movies aren't that good. I was like, all right, let's easy there.
I
So
mean, yeah, I don't know. I rewatched them when I got laid off for the pandemic, and I was like, I like this.
I one of my favorite things. I still love Generations, First Contact, obviously
Top
right up
two
there.
for sure.
All the rest, I mean, we can. It's debatable. Like they have their moments, but man, just seeing that trailer, it did go me like that's what it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be. And if they can just continue that, that's fine. Because even you brought up a couple things that I didn't know. Uh, I said I haven't watched Picard season 1 or 2. I tried to watch season 1. I just couldn't really get into it. I know season 2. One of the plot points is, um, and it's actually put in by Patrick Stewart, was uh, like his mother, like having, like committing suicide and having mental health issues, and he's just like that. That wouldn't happen in the 24th century. That's not allowed. You know, all that, like you wouldn't be left on your own. That would be taken care of. You would get the care that you need, because that's what Gene Roddenberry's future was supposed to be. There's no, like today, there's always people, that fall through the cracks. He's like, that's not a thing. That wouldn't happen. And he wasn't, and he made
Well,
a
you
pretty
got a good
compelling
point there.
where he's just like, in Gene Roddenberry's 24th century, that does not happen. And I know it was one of those things where it was Patrick Stewart wanted it because I guess had a very troubled upbringing. I don't know uh, much about his upbringing, but I guess that was one of the things he wanted in. But which which understandable. But as far as Gene staying true to Gene Roddenberry Star Trek, that's not stuff that would happen.
No, yeah, I'll buy you on that one. Yeah, and Gene Ryan. I mean, it's all predicated on mankind realizes they're not alone in the universe, and yeah, nobody falls between the cracks.
Yeah, yeah. It's just everybody's got a role, and everybody gets what they need. You're it's utopia basically.
Yeah.
Until you realize once you leave the solar system, you're like, ah, shit.
Oh shit! This is what it was like way back then.
Then it gets a little sketchy. But as far as being in the Federation,
Yeah.
it's a utopia. So.
The acquisition of wealth. The acquisition of wealth is no longer the driving force in our lives. We strive to better ourselves and to better mankind. You mean you don't get paid?
Right. You mean you're making money?
Star Trek First Contact, baby, right there.
I tell you what, James Cromwell. Anytime I see anything with James Cromwell, that's the first thing I think of, because I think he absolutely killed that role.
Yeah, Zephyr Cochrane, he was great.
So, but let's see here. So, Picard season 3 on Paramount Plus, debuting February 13th. It'd be one of the few things on Paramount Plus I'm gonna go check out. Unless they have Yellowstone on there. I get caught up in Yellowstone. I missed that show. Which apparently there's gonna be like 16 Yellowstone spin-offs from like every single century and decade. Just like whoever, I forget the name of the guy who's the creator of that, but like he's just like throwing everything he can, because he's like he's got like 9 spin-offs he's trying to get made. And he's like, I'll even I get like 3 good. So he's
money.
He's just like, iron's hot, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, that's right. The iron's hot.
But yeah, so, and then one of the other things, Adam, do you have Amazon Prime?
Yes.
All right. One of the things I loved, especially during the pandemic, was a little show called Clarkson's Farm. And that's Jeremy Clarkson. He's on Grand Tour now on Prime, but it's on Top Gear, one of the Top Gear hosts for the last 2 to 3 decades on the BBC. Fantastic show. They kind of got a little bit screwed by the BBC, so they went and did their own thing at Prime. And then once the pandemic shut down that production, he's just like, shit, I'll go start a farm, and did it. And it's just this, he's just a ridiculous person. So obviously Did you watch any of that by chance?
No, I didn't.
So uh, he's quite Jeremy Clarkson's quite the character. So he had to go buy uh, a tractor, to do all your farm work. So what does he go buy? He buys a Lamborghini because why wouldn't he buy a Lamborghini? which sort of makes sense because Lamborghini started out making tractors, and then Lamborghini said, I think it was like he wanted Ferrari to make a couple adjustments to their car, and Ferrari told him to go fuck off, and he's like, screw you, I'll go make my own car, and then he made the Lamborghini.
Wow.
So, but it's just he's a ridiculous character, but just one of the few things. I was watching a grand tour. My mother-in-law was over, and mother-in-law, awesome woman, fantastic. I had the show on one time she was over. I've never heard her laugh so hard in my entire life as she laughed at this show. So,
no kidding.
Yeah, one of those. It doesn't matter what age, Yeah, he'll probably offend you a little bit, no matter where you are on any spectrum of it. Something he's going to offend you a little bit, but he's also going to make you laugh a lot. So waiting for that to come out. I think that comes out the end of the week. I think the 10th that premieres on Amazon Prime. So my wife's not watching, but if she does happen to pop on, we're definitely gonna be watching that this week. So.
I am going to. I sound so robotic. I am going to. No, I'm thoroughly enjoying Quantum Leap. Good. I watched the latest episode yesterday. Although I think they're trying to throw a retcon in there under my nose.
Oh.
Or it's part of the plot. Kind of like Switching Darren's, but not Switching Darren's. Here's the thing.
Sergeant York?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, the scientist who leaped, Ben,
yep,
and the hologram woman were married. Her name is Augustine. Her last name is Augustine. I can't remember her first name off the top of my head. But Addison Augustine. They're supposed to be married. That was supposed to be his wife, unless I misunderstood. Now, in like 2 episodes, just in real blatant writing, we're like, yeah, my fiance. I'm your fiance. And I'm like, no, that's not what happened. No, it wasn't your fiance. They said you were married. You said you were married in the pilot. I remember that. So I have to go back and check my facts, but I'm wondering if they're trying to just soft reboot the correction. Maybe they went too big, too loud. I don't know.
Maybe they're like, we made a mistake.
Yeah.
Which happens, but yeah, in 2023, it's really hard to course correct without someone finding out.
Yeah, and they're going to have relationship troubles because he leaped without telling her and all this kind of stuff, and she was supposed to be the leaper. He was supposed to be the guy in the imaging chamber. And you find out now that he doesn't remember exactly why he leaped, but he leaped to save her life. It had to do with saving her life. And he couldn't live with the idea of knowing that she was going to die. So.
Nice.
And Sam Beckett is still out there. And he's quiet as all hell. He hasn't said a word about the show, has he? You haven't heard anything, have you?
I haven't heard, honestly, Adam. I haven't heard a peep about the show.
It's a good show
since it premiered. So
great show.
Let's see. Oh, so we talked a little bit about Last of Us episode 4. It was interesting. It was better, but once again, it's so hard for me to get into the show just because I didn't play the game, so my point of reference is very limited. I know they are staying pretty faithful to the game, the storyline in the game, obviously with a few divergences, which is pretty expected because even like the DC animated movies, I know it ticks some people off where like they change things, but it's like, well, if you read the comic book and then they just make an animated version of the comic book, then what's the point? So I know, like with Hush, they changed a couple things and upset a couple people, but it's like, I mean, you gotta keep people intrigued somehow. So
Yeah, no, and Hush did the original uh, storyline where it was the Riddler was the mastermind of everything. The video game took the Riddler out of it.
yeah. Well, in the animated feature was what his friend, right? Was it?
No, the Riddler manipulated everything, but everybody thought it was Tommy Elliott. Yeah.
Right. So but as far as Last of Us
Now
episode
you got to
4,
fact check it. I'm sorry.
okay,
Now you got me doubting myself. Yeah, let's fact check that.
fact checking commencing.
Ooh, what? Edward Nigma. Hush is the new persona of criminal mastermind Edward Nigma, otherwise known as the Riddler.
All right,
So yeah,
let's see.
so yeah,
So
the animated movie stuck to the comic book.
5 ways the DCAU films differ from the comic. Spoilers. Same general storyline, different drawing style. Same Bat Cat romance, different key characters.
We're never getting rid of that. You know that, right?
What?
Batman and Catwoman.
Nah, I'm okay with that, but
Oh, bullshit.
it's not my favorite.
You like that old bullshit.
Different identity of Hush. So the central mystery of the storyline revolves around identity of Hush. In the comics, Hush turned out to be Tommy, Bruce's childhood friend who had a grudge against him. That's the way the animated feature changed it. So.
Which way did the animated feature change it?
To that, or Tommy's Hush.
The Riddler was Hush in the animated feature.
No, that's why we're fact checking.
I just fact checked it. All right, if you say so.
All right, so this is from CBR. CBR, so number 5, different identity of Hush. The central mystery of the storyline revolves around identity of Hush. In the comics, Hush turned out. Okay, so in the comics, Hush turned out to be comics for child. According to rumors, the Riddler was initially supposed to be the main villain of the comic series as well, with Tommy being a red herring until the writers decided to make Tommy the big bad. Does that technically make the additions ending the true resolution instead of the what happens? So, um, so
Well,
the
it
movie
doesn't
did
matter.
away with the ending by making Hush another identity of the Riddler instead. Whatever.
Yeah, hold on. I'll get the DC streaming app up here.
But anyway, so Last of Us episode 4 kind of turned into a road trip movie with Ellie and Pedro Pascal, and I still don't like the actor, so I don't care for Ellie.
Oh,
They're starting. That was obviously anytime like a show or a movie does a road trip movie, that's supposed to be like a bonding experience thing, and that's what it turned into. And it was kind of nice where there was actually some personality and some it's starting to connect a little bit and care a little bit. Where Pedro Pascal's starting to take on a little more fatherly role, even though he doesn't want to, even though he just considers her cargo. Um, and they introduced some new characters. Unfortunately, I didn't watch as thoroughly as I should have. They're setting up some new monsters coming up here fairly shortly. So, still sticking with it. Wait and see what the show brings, but
I am
okay.
in the last issue right now of Hush.
Okay.
And it looks like it's the Riddler behind all of it. Hold on. Yeah. I'd have to read pages and pages here to confirm it. Otherwise, I'm just looking at pictures. But I thought it was a good time to go ahead and that because Last of Us, I'm never gonna watch it.
Yeah, and right now, Last of Us, it's I don't know,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's entertainment. It gives me something to watch. I don't watch it on Sundays. I watch it with my wife on Mondays because that's the beauty of streaming services. But as of right now, it's just it's good enough to keep us involved. Because honestly, there's nothing else.
Yeah. I mean I might pick it up one day, but I mean I don't have plans to watch it. You know what I mean?
Well, I can't even give it the you're missing out on this. Like I would say that that's kind of how I felt with like House of the Dragon and all that, but I don't feel that with like if I just told you, gave you a quick 3 to 4 minute synopsis like I just did, you'd be like, yeah, good, cool.
Hmm.
Like when we were kids and we were like, we'd all finish reading our comic books, and then you told me about a comic book. I was like, cool, don't have to read that.
Well, yeah.
that's kind
I
that's
mean you do
kind
the
of how
same.
I feel.
Yeah.
So, but so one of the last things, I don't know if it's one of the last things, but just one of the things, Motor City Comic Con is starting to announce their guest list, and it's starting to get actually pretty good.
Yeah, you were saying that Riker's gonna be there.
Riker and Data, thank you very much. Um, and then also, let's see, sorry, tell Boomer. I know, Boom, I know. So, oh yeah.
I'm in high school, man.
So you got Michael Rooker and Sean Gunn so far announced, and then
Oh, was-
Brent Spiner and Jonathan Frakes. So
those are the only announcements, or
those are the biggest ones. They got some other anime ones. I just don't know them. So oh yeah, William Daniels and Bonnie Daniels. He's from William Daniels from Knight Riders and Boy Meets World, and Bonnie Daniels is from Saint Elsewhere.
okay, I'm there. Wait, who's Caden Phoenix? She looks familiar.
Caden Phoenix.
Voiceover actress.
Comic book creator Caden Phoenix is coming to Motor City Comic Con. She
Oh,
is
okay.
creator of A La Brava, Latina superhero team, and the Majestics. So, Native and Latina Princess comic series, and you can meet her at Motor City Comic Con 2023. So, you got Mick Foley, well, mixing in the wrestlers on occasion. One of the ones I truly wish I would have seen before he passed was Rowdy Roddy Piper. That's one of the uh,
Yeah.
few ones that I really regret not being able to go see. But looks like we also have some voice actors from the Clone Wars. So go see Ashley Exton, who's Ahsoka Tano, Matt Lanter, who's Anakin Skywalker, and James Arnold Taylor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. So if you're a fan of the Clone Wars like I was, not the biggest fan, I think it's fine, but some people obviously love it way more than I do. Oh, and Catherine Tate, who's in The Office, and one of the companions from Doctor Who will be there as well. I think she dipped out last year, so we'll see if she makes it this year. But Motor City Comic Con in Novi will be November 19th through the 21st. And
What was
what's that?
what was this picture of Skeletor here? Wait.
Hold on.
That's the news for me. I saw Skeletor.
Start every phone call with my phone is about to die. That way you can hang up on them whenever you want to. Adam, do it in your Skeletor voice.
Start every phone call with my phone is about to die. That way you can hang up on them whenever you want to.
Perfect.
The great Alan Oppenheimer.
Oh, I forgot the Arrow team's coming too. So Dave Ramsey, Stephen
Fucking
Allen, Emily Bett Rickards. This is going to be a very expensive Comic Con, I can see. Oh, goodness.
Felicity.
Yeah. Yep, she's an attractive one. So that's what we got going so far for the Comic Con. So it's always a letdown because they're always like, "Hey, this person, this person, this person," and then it starts getting closer, and it's like, "Yeah, such and such isn't coming."
Right.
And such isn't coming. So it's with bated breath that we wait to see who actually shows up this year. Because I know one of the ones that we'll have to go do is definitely Jonathan Frakes and Brent Spiner because my wife and I want to. But is there any way we can do like the photo op, but where we bring a chair and we make Jonathan Frakes do the chair thing where he steps over the chair? I don't know if he can still do that. It's a little bit older, but
You mean like what he used to do when he would host, like?
no, like anytime he walked into like the ready room with Picard, he did the step over like the back of the chair.
Might have to see it. I don't remember it.
Hold on, let's see if I'll find it on YouTube. Nope, that's not what I want to do. Oh shit!
What?
Wrong button.
You were safe. You weren't indecent.
Transfer has been completed.
So this
Dr. Larry is being shown to her quarters. We're ready to get underway.
Grand.
Number 1, I'll relieve you at 0300.
You say that one more time.
Is it like
Now, the first words out of your mouth are the most important. You may want to start
like
with something like this.
every single time he steps over the back of the chair? I don't know why.
You don't look like a person who came here to.
Why can't you use chairs in the future like a normal person?
Is there something wrong, Wes?
Something's wrong?
Counselor Troy said.
So I don't know why, but I want to see of all the things. I want to see a Comic-Con live. I want to see him do this.
Morta,
I don't know why.
the Enterprise computer system is controlled.
So. But yeah, that's one of my stupid humor things.
Fascinating. I mean that though. I never noticed it.
All right, Adam, what else you got? I know you're moving, so probably haven't been able to read very much of anything. So.
No, I haven't. But I've been balls deep into just kind of moving. There's nothing I can tell you. No. I saw a horror movie over the weekend called Let Me In. Came out in 2010, directed by Matt Reeves. Chloe Grace Moretz played a 12-year-old. Well, she's older than 12, but she had been 12 years old for a very long time, vampire. And it was pretty cool.
Was that based off a comic, I think, or a graphic novel?
Could have been. I didn't know. I don't know.
Or no, I think it was a remake. I think that's what it was. It was a remake.
Oh, you know what? It was a German, it was a German or French film. One of the two.
I think it was. If I had to guess, I think French, but I know. Yeah, it's one of those. But
I enjoyed it. I really liked it.
No, it was good, and it's got kind of a weird ending, but good.
Well, he becomes her next, person that helps her.
Yeah, I just remember a kid in a trunk.
Yeah, he taught her SOS. She was in the trunk while he's on the train.
Right.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Did Ant-Man and the Wasp come out?
No, that is next week. That's next weekend. Quantumania is next weekend, and then it's Cocaine Bear, and then it's Shazam 2.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go see Cocaine Bear. I can only see one of the 3 movies.
Yeah. How are you not going to see a movie called Cocaine Bear, based off true story?
I mean, if I only had enough money, if I had to choose between a meal, one of the any superhero movie that ever comes out again, or Cocaine Bear, I'm going to see Cocaine Bear.
It's going to be Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Knock at the Cabin was number 1 at the box office. 80 for Brady was number 2. Oh, geez. And then, what's that?
I can already predict my next review for the next, I don't know, dozen comic book movies that come out. I don't know. I went and saw something else. I spent my money on something worthwhile.
And you didn't even see the biggest box office movie of the year so far. So that was Avatar: The Way of Water.
Yeah, but it's not really my thing. I got nothing. Nothing negative to say about it. I can only say good things about Avatar. I mean, it's getting people back into the movies more. I'm not saying everybody went away, but
it's doing way better domestically or internationally than it is domestically. The domestic numbers aren't that good for it.
I mean, so it's not doing so well in America. But America's not the make or break anymore.
No, the biggest, the second biggest market was China, and China loves it apparently. So.
Well, you're the second biggest market because you've got all the people.
Well, yeah.
You got all the people.
Yep. So, yeah, because that's gross U.S. Canada at 637 million, and then whatever that is minus 2.1 billion. So,
Yeah.
So 1.4 billion internationally. So international people love James Cameron. So,
he's directed 3 of the top 6 highest grosses movies of all time.
Yeah. And still a weird dude and kind of a jackass. So whatever.
Americans love him too.
Americans love him, even though he's the one who's like, oh, guns are I had to cut out part of the movie because it was like too like gun pornish. It's like, dude, you made Terminator and Terminator 2. Stop it. So
What does that have to do with America?
what?
What does that have to do with America?
Guns?
Yeah.
Americans love their guns.
Well, I mean, yeah, we got guns.
Yeah. Americans love. But anyway, so yeah, the only thing I've been reading I did pick up Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was pretty fun.
Oh,
So
okay.
Up volume 1 of that. So.
Yeah. Did you read it? All of it?
Yes. Yep, read it all. It was fun. It was different than I was expecting it to be. I think there's a volume 2 floating around, so I might have to pick that up. But I did just purchase on eBay Shredder. When Shredder Goes to Hell. And I read the first one of that in the Best of Shredder series that IDW does. Because I actually like those best ofs.
Shredder Goes to Hell and everything is fucking
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Shredder in Hell. So that's on its way.
Every single person is a turtle except for him.
Right.
What the hell?
Krang!
What has happened to me?
Right.
I did it a lot better before my voice changed.
Plus, you don't sound like the uncle from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Was he? No.
He was the voice of Shredder in the anime, in the cartoon.
Uncle Phil.
Uncle Phil.
My Uncle Phil. Your Uncle Phil.
Everybody's uncle.
Yeah. Our Uncle Phil was the voice of Shredder. Holy shit, if you think he was.
Yep.
I can hear it now. Yeah.
Yep.
Ha!
Gone too soon, Uncle Phil. Which is funny now because Will Smith's way older than Uncle Phil was when the show started.
Hmm. Yeah.
All right, Adam, unless you got anything else, I think it's time to wrap her up.
Good night, America. We love you. Thank you for watching.
So if you want to see what we're going to be talking about on the show, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. If you have not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. It helps a lot. If you are a fan of podcasts, we're on all the major podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and Google Podcasts. So I think that's about it. So, all right, my friend, have a good night, and we'll see you next time.
Good night, folks.
Good night, America.